Picture this. You're packing up your suitcase, doing that frantic final sweep of the hotel room, and you spot it. The key card. You probably just leave it on the desk, right? Or maybe you toss it in the trash, or it somehow ends up at the bottom of your bag next to a single sock. Every single year, hundreds of millions of people do this on pure autopilot. Almost nobody thinks twice about it. But welcome to this explainer, where we're going to take a much closer look at that little piece of technology in your pocket. Because honestly, we need to ask a question that should probably bother us a lot more than it does.
So we've all heard the rumor, right? It's been floating around the internet for years. This terrifying idea that your hotel key card is secretly loaded with your full name, your exact room number, and worst of all, your private credit card details. I mean, people have gone totally viral sharing warnings, literally telling you to take a pair of scissors and snap your card in half before throwing it away just to stop identity theft. It sounds super sketchy, the ultimate hidden danger. But as we're about to see, the real story is entirely different.
Actually, scratch that whole myth. There is a massive gap between what we panic about and how this tech actually functions. While the rumor mill insists your entire financial life is sitting on that plastic card, the reality is, well, it's pretty boring. Hotels do not encode your credit card or billing details on the card at all. What's actually on there? A randomly generated code, a few room permissions, and an expiration time stamp. That is the whole shebang. But to understand why this rumor refuses to die, we kind of have to look at the hardware itself.
Because a hotel key card isn't just one universal piece of tech. We're really talking about two totally different systems wearing the exact same plastic disguise. First, you've got your classic magnetic stripe card, the one with the black stripe on the back that you have to swipe. And then you have the modern RFID card. That one has a tiny microchip and a hidden antenna inside, so you just tap it to unlock. Both are super common today, but they store information in completely different ways. And here's the kicker. Neither of them works the way most people assume.
Let's start with the mag stripe, because what's really fascinating here is just how incredibly basic this tech actually is. This is exactly where the myth was born. It's essentially the same technology used in old cassette tapes. By arranging thousands of tiny magnetic particles in specific patterns, the stripe holds data. Think of it like a tiny, extremely simple hard drive. Except unlike your computer, it can only hold a few hundred characters. It literally does not have the capacity to store gigabytes of sensitive personal data. It just needs enough space to answer one simple yes or no question.
When you swipe that card, the door lock doesn't ask, "Hey, what's your credit card number?" It just reads the card's random code and compares it to a timer sitting in its own internal memory, basically a timer that started when you checked in. Think of it like a bouncer checking a VIP list. If the code matches and you haven't passed your checkout time, you're in. If it's past checkout, the code doesn't match anymore and the door won't budge. It's a completely closed, incredibly simple verification loop.
Okay, so if these cards are essentially just dumb, secure digital keys, why on earth has the credit card rumor survived for decades? Why are people still pulling out the scissors? Well, you know how it goes. Almost every rumor starts with a tiny seed of truth. And for a brief window in time, some systems really did act a bit suspicious.
We have to go back to the early 2000s. Back then, some older, poorly secure hotel management systems actually did link a guest's keycard to a database entry that had billing details. Now, to be clear, the credit card info still wasn't on the plastic card itself, but the card acted like a reference number, sort of like a receipt number pointing to a filing cabinet on the hotel servers. If a bad actor got into those servers, they could potentially match a card number to a guest's information folder. There were a small number of documented cases, it sparked some massive viral headlines, and people completely misunderstood the problem. They took a real issue, weak server security, and oversimplified it into the myth that every keycard holds your credit card number.
The real takeaway here, the danger was absolutely never the cheap piece of plastic sitting on your nightstand. The actual risk lived entirely in the software and the server racks humming away quietly behind the hotel reception desk.
So, if your payment details aren't on the card today, where do they go? Well, when you check into a hotel now, your payment runs through a modern property management system. This system logs your stay dates, your name, and uses something called tokenization for your payment. Tokenization is a brilliant piece of engineering. It creates a scrambled placeholder that represents your credit card details without ever exposing the real number. The system just spits out a random string of characters that only make sense to the payment processor's secure servers.
To put that into perspective, let's say a hacker manages to completely breach a hotel's database today. They grab all the tokens. Well, those tokens are completely useless on their own. It's exactly like finding a locker key on the street, but you have zero idea which locker, in which building, in which city it actually opens. It is a massive security upgrade from those early 2000s systems.
Now, obviously, no system is a perfect shield. If staff use weak passwords or a booking platform gets hacked, information can leak. But it's for sure not leaking from your keycard.
And that brings us back to those newer tap-to-unlock RFID cards. Here's a fun fact. Those modern RFID chips actually do have way more storage space than the old magstrips. But in almost every single hotel around the world, they deliberately configure them to store the exact same minimal info: access code, room permissions, time window. That extra storage space goes completely unused. Why? Because hotels made a conscious business decision to keep sensitive data off the card. There is zero business reason to put sensitive data at risk of being lost in a hallway, because if they did, the hotel would be liable for massive data breaches. It's the exact opposite of what the conspiracy warnings assume.
But this raises an entirely new and honestly much more fascinating question. If the cards are safe from financial identity theft, is there any privacy risk at all left in this little piece of plastic? Should we just stop worrying entirely? Well, yes, there is a risk. It's just a completely different kind of risk than people imagine.
The truth is, the real risk isn't about what is stored on the card. It's about what the card can reveal about your behavior. We are no longer talking about financial theft here. We are talking about the silent, continuous tracking of your physical movements.
Just think about your daily timeline on a trip. Every single time you tap that card, getting out of your room at 8:14 a.m., using the secure elevator at 8:18, hitting the gym at 4:30 p.m., the hotel system logs that event with a timestamp. Now, one scan on its own, totally meaningless. But when you stitch all those data points together across your entire stay, the hotel has effectively built a quiet, detailed timeline of your habits. They know when you leave, when you come back, how often you hit the pool. Hotels mostly use this for totally harmless stuff, like optimizing cleaning schedules or for security investigations. But make no mistake, it is still a form of behavioral tracking that most guests never even think about, all happening silently inside a piece of plastic.
And honestly, this goes way beyond just hotels. We live inside dozens of tiny systems just like this every single day. Transit cards, gym fobs, office badges. Every single one is designed to answer that simple yes or no question: are you allowed here right now? They rarely need to know your actual identity to do that job, yet almost all of them quietly log exactly when and where you ask the question. Your actual identity lives one layer away in a separate database, linked to by a random code. So without even realizing it, we constantly prove who we are, one silent tap at a time, leaving a digital trail behind us.
So the next time you pack up and drop that little piece of plastic on the nightstand, you can definitely rest easy knowing you're not leaving your credit card details behind. But you are leaving behind a tiny, disposable password. You're leaving a quiet log of a life that passed through one room for just a few days. The next time you hear that reassuring beep of a door unlocking, you really have to ask yourself, who exactly is keeping track of your timeline today?